All right, I'll go ahead and call this meeting of the Kansas State University Student Senate to order. Will you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, Senate, we're going to go ahead and move into first roll call. I ask that you all please go ahead and keep your voices down. If there are any issues with the roll call list as we're kind of getting used to it, please just come up to us after Senate or go ahead and send myself, Justin, or Nathan an email if we mess your name up, or don't say your name. So,
Al Abdullah. Al Madani. Beasley. Betancourt. Booz. Burke. Carlson. Clements. Colburn. Cruz. Dowd. Garcia. Gillian King. Gillespie. Glasscock. Gertson. Grover. Hamlin. Heatherman. Hines. Howie. Huffman. Javin. Kavanaugh. Kelly. Kerprin. Kidd. King. Koger. Coleman. Leverett. Lux. Matos. Meinhardt. Newport. Oxner. Borzakowski. Pelton. Prus. Rice. Rivera. Rickert. Sleichter. Smith. Ben Snyder. Blaine Snyder. Spellman. Spencer. Stone Street. Wallace. Ward. Watkins. And Whitmer. Okay, and just for a reminder, guys, if you guys are here representing somebody as a proxy, you don't have to say here by proxy. That's just for voting.
On that as well, if you are a proxy, since we don't have any legislation tonight and there's nothing we're actually going to be voting on legislatively, we are going to have our two elections. So those will be by blind vote. And when the time comes, if you are a proxy, you'll raise your hands when I ask if there's anyone who has 2 votes, and you'll just go ahead and write down 2 votes. So that's when you'll use your proxy. All right, great. How many senators do we have present?
We have 46 senators present, 2 excused, and 5 absent.
All right, now we'll go ahead and move on to open period. Are there any speakers for first open period? All right, seeing none, we'll move to approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Senator King. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes. If there are no objections, the minutes are approved. We'll now move into announcements for the week. I went ahead and included the links to all of the applications again. All of the deadlines for the applications have been moved to tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. So if you have any interest in any of those positions in any of our branches, please go ahead and apply. And as a little bit of an announcement, I mentioned this earlier, we can only serve in one branch in SGA. So if you're already a senator, you're already a director, wait, I guess you wouldn't be, but if you're already a senator, if you apply for cabinet and you're selected, you would have to lose your senator spot. Just same case with judicial branch, same with communications director, intern coordinator, and treasurer. The only positions that you can apply for concurrently are committee chair positions and maintain being a senator. Does that make sense? All right, wonderful. We'll go ahead and keep on moving then to proxies. Proxies for tonight: Gillen King for Rivera, Glasscock for Gillespie, Hines for Matos, Howie for Prus, Kavanaugh for Betancourt, Kidd for Burke, and Spencer for Carlson. The quote of the week this week is, "It is certain in any case that ignorance allied with power is the most ferocious enemy justice can have." We will now move to committee reports, director's reports. All right. If not, we'll go ahead and move right on into general orders, the election of Speaker of the Student Senate. So if we could have our 3 candidates please come to the front of the room. All right, so we are going to be going in the same order as last week. So we will start with Kulkarni, then we'll go to Heatherman, and finally Colburn. So we're going to give our other candidates a couple minutes to step out. And Vedant Kulkarni, you have 5 minutes for your speech to debrief your platforms.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. To begin with, my name is Vedant Kulkarni, and I'm an international student studying Management Information Systems and Journalism. Today, I want to share with you the driving force that led me to make the decision to run for speaker. Last week, I received the opportunity to share with you my platforms and fundamentals for the position of speaker. My campaign is based on the platforms of engagement, empowerment, and equity, wherein I aspire to enable the Student Senate to engage more deeply with the student body, as well as amongst ourselves, so that we empower the student body and create, maintain, and promote equity of representation in student government. I believe that I possess the leadership skills required to achieve these objectives. Like I said last week, at the time I've been at K-State, I've served as the Vice President of Speak McKay, Treasurer of Speak McKay, volunteered for International Students and Scholar Services, worked as the Welcome Ambassador, spoke at multiple events on campus, including KS Unite and Strengths in Action, served as a student senator, served as the Student Engagement Committee Chair, got elected as the Vice President of the Union Governing Board, and I'm also an official speaker for the International Speakers Bureau here at K-State. I have served on Strategic Enrollment Management, Student Success Task Force, and the Student Advisory Work Group. My involvement on campus has got me very close with numerous doctors and deans, such as Dr. Bosco, deans of numerous colleges, the director of ISSS, the Office of Provost, the Office of Union Director, and the UPC. All of these factors have led me in possessing exceptional leadership skills and helped me develop my personality. As the speaker, I look forward to being a vital listener, whether it would be in Senate exec, or committee meetings that I would chair. Because for me, your voice is the most important. The Senate represents the voice of the student body, and if elected as the speaker, I would receive the privilege to express your views and concerns to K-State administration and the president, as well as state leaders. And as I promised last week, I plan on doing so firmly with confidence. As the speaker, I will ensure that the K-State faculty, administration, and the state leaders hear the voice of student body represented through you, the student senators, and thereby see to it that SGA accomplishes its goal of assisting student body to achieve success on campus. I'm aware that all of you have individual goals and objectives for your term as student senators. Some of you have aspirations to create changes to the way we conduct elections. Some of you have great ideas of how to get your caucuses more engaged. Some of you have great ideas about increasing the involvement from graduate students in SGA. These are fantastic ideas and goals for SGA, and as I stand here today, I guarantee all of you that if I am elected as the speaker, I will, to the best of my ability and capability, support you in accomplishing your objectives and always stand with you with the helping hand, because for me, your prosperity in SGA is most cardinal. 2 years ago, I traveled to this country for my studies, never knowing how life would lead me here. I do not come from here, and as all of you guys can see, I do not possess fancy, colorful, multi-page flyers for my campaign. To be honest, I did not have any resources to design them. I chose to run for speaker because I saw that while we have a great Senate, we still have issues that need to be addressed in SGA. Issues regarding representation of voices, opinions, diversity in Senate, inclusion, the participation of student body in our decision-making process, and many more. As an international student, I can see the lack of diverse voices in SGA, and that shows that we have a lot of work to do in representation of identities in SGA. And through my journey for running for this position, I have learned a lot. I wish to continue this process of learning. I received tremendous help and encouragement from one of my greatest friends, Katie Sullivan, for my campaign. I know I'm a very unexpected candidate for this position, and I didn't start with any endorsements. And my campaign was hitched right here in Senate, and it was built by my passion and the support I received from close friends. It was built by a vision of bringing a change and making an impact, and it grew strength from the fact that if the goal is achieved, it would be a turning point in SGA's history, and that it would mean an increase in representation and discussions about issues we are all passionate about. And that's why I stand here today. I have been approached by individuals of my own community, the international students, and have been told that my chances are very slim, not because I'm incapable, but because of factors that I cannot control. To them, I just said one thing. There was a time when people said that a person of color cannot govern the world's oldest democracy. But 10 years ago, one man with the support of millions proved them wrong. There was a time where people said a chai wala or a tea seller can never govern the world's largest democracy. But one person with the support of millions proved.
Time for speakers expired. Is there a motion to extend? Senator Hines. It's been moved and seconded to extend the speaker's time by 5 minutes. If there are no objections, you have 5 more minutes.
Awesome. Well, one person with the support of millions proved these critics wrong. The people supported these candidates not because of their identities, but because they were capable of doing marvelous things and because they were incredible leaders. I know that I'm capable of performing every task as the speaker and efficiently in an unbiased way with an open mind. So I ask you, can we create a history by electing a perfectly capable, experienced student as the speaker of K-State SGA Student Senate? Yes, we can. Thank you.
All right, with that, are there any questions for Vedant Kulkarni?
Thank you very much. That's a good question. So as an international student even last year, I saw that there were not many international students represented in SGA. I tried to integrate my friends involved in it, but unfortunately, most of them either went for study abroad or had other works to do. However, as a student, as the speaker, one of the things that I would really get involved with is with the DEI committee that we created last semester. DEI stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Through that committee, as well as with working with the intern coordinators, I wish to enable these committees and these committee chairs towards recruiting more diverse voices that are generally underrepresented, including international students on campus in SGA. I've seen the potential that these positions can have on representing inclusive voices. Along with that, during open periods, I wish to invite as many marginalized groups as we can to speak about their organization, what they represent, their objectives, and how we can help them.
Further questions? All right, seeing none, thank you very much, Vedant Kulkarni. All right, Senator Heatherman, you have 5 minutes for your speech.
Okay. Good evening. For those of you here for the first time tonight, welcome to Student Senate and congratulations. I'm truly excited to serve with each one of you this next year. Since this evening I have limited time, I'm going to go ahead and jump right in with a brief recap of my platforms and then move into some of my qualifications for this position and motivations for running. So there's 3 ways in which I plan to enhance the role of speaker this next year. These are activating Student Senate, being deliberate about committee selection and oversight, and mobilizing groups to revitalize the governing documents. I really want every senator in the room to feel like they have the resources and support to make a difference in this body, which is why my first platform is activating Student Senate. I plan to have a one-on-one meeting with every senator before September, and additionally provide each of them with a sense of direction on the areas that they're interested in and with allies within these areas, whether they be senators, executive branch members, or administrators. Deliberate committee selection and oversight is all with the goal that every single senator be able to derive value from their membership in a committee. I believe that this starts with a blind application process that's focused on strengths, perspective, and experiences, and that is followed through with a greater presence on my end in each of your committees. Lastly, I want to work with stakeholders in all three branches to be sure that our governing documents at a bare minimum reflect what is being practiced currently. But in cases like the attendance policy and elections code, I believe that we have the opportunity to improve and update these practices so that they best suit where our organization is both now and where we're going. Moving into why I'm qualified for this position, over the last year, I've served as a senator and caucus leader. Even standalone, as a senator, I've been able to grow in many ways. Especially having some challenging legislation this year, I've learned conflict management, I've developed strength in my convictions, became more resourceful, and experienced the value in reaching out to students for input, all of which I believe are transferable to the role of speaker. Last year, after losing Speaker Pro Tempore, I had this new excitement and energy for the college caucus system. And so, naturally, I decided to run for caucus leader and won. And this was a position I was told numerous times throughout the year, and especially early in the year, wasn't an important role. But I've been constantly reaffirmed of its purpose throughout the year, especially when we've presented to GEMBA 110 classes and students have wanted to get involved with SGA, or when we've been able to push forward the conversation about business building hours with our dean, and just last week when we pulled off a very successful diversity summit in our college. I believe that my caucus's successes speak to my abilities to delegate, to work with administrators, to turn vague responsibilities just in the bylaws and without precedent into meaningful outreach. And I think it also speaks to how I would serve as a resource to the Speaker Pro Tempore and having active college caucuses next year. Lastly, I want to address why I want to run for this position. Most of the work that I've done this past year has been independent of a position or a committee assignment, but it's been in this very work that it's been in this very work in the margin that's made me realize I want to serve the legislative branch in the role of speaker. It's been the extra time I've invested, the additional committee meetings I've attended, and the late night conversations in CSI where I've really felt that sense of belonging in SGA. The reason that I want this position is rooted in the experiences that I've had as a senator, the small victories that I've contributed to, and the connections and mentorships I've both strengthened and developed. I personally have derived so much value from my membership in SGA, but I've also experienced the frustration of others and myself and others enough to know that there are problems in our organization that need to be addressed. I believe that this year we have the opportunity to increase the efficiency of Senate, to provide more fulfillment for our members, and to create more progress for the students that both you and I were elected to serve. I believe that I am the best person to lead us through these changes to help make this opportunity a reality. And with that, I stand for questions.
All right. With that, are there any questions for our speaker? All right. If not, thank you very much. Senator Colburn, you have 5 minutes to recap your platforms.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who weren't here last week or have short attention spans because you had a lot of tests this week like I did, my name is Lily Colburn. I am a freshman from here in Manhattan, studying political science and environmental science. So tonight I want to just go back over the different platforms that I presented last week, and then also just give a little bit more insight into why I'm running and why I know that I'll make a great speaker for next year. So first, definitely the platform that I got the most questions about, which I'm so excited because I thought people were going to just like blow this one off, but the Canvas page. So I think this is a really neat opportunity that we have to further engage within our own body as Senate, to stay up to date on various information that we sometimes lose access to. And we can create informational documents for all senators and all SGA members to have access to. And then after we see kind of how it works within this body, opening up that Canvas page so that any student can opt in to see that Canvas page and to get that information. I want to make it clear that I don't want this to be any overlap between OrgSync or Engage, which we are moving to, and this Canvas page. I think really the only thing that should exist on both platforms are the Constitution, bylaws, and statutes, since those should just generally be more available to senators and students. But everything else should be informational things that wouldn't necessarily be on OrgSync. So again, the example I gave, presentations that committee chairs give or visitors give during Senate could be uploaded to that Canvas page, because I know a lot of times we'll say, oh, we can send this out, and then it never gets sent out. So that's an easy place for us to look to find that information routinely and easily. And then the second thing, the Wildcat Dialogue style small group discussion that would take place during Senate around relevant topics that are happening during the year or regarding legislation or different events on campus. These would be times to improve and increase cross-college and cross-interbranch collaboration, where we can find our own groups of senators with similar interests and passions on our own, rather than looking at interests that a senator might have at the beginning of the year and setting a group from then on out. We can routinely check in on new topics and find our own groups of people who might work in similar ways or have similar hopes and dreams as to when it comes to affecting students on campus. Third is planning facilitator trainings for members of Senate Exec, since these people lead meetings across our organization and university all the time, ensuring that these members have the tools to efficiently run a meeting and to make our committee meetings better and for all of us and for students. It's important that these opportunities are open for Senate Exec members, but also all senators. Fourth, adding caucus leaders to Senate Exec. Again, Senate Exec is a great place for leadership development, and since caucus leaders are part of our Senate leadership, it's time that we treated them as such and gave them this opportunity as well. And finally, creating the Joint Committee on Elections. This one's pretty simple, I think, in that we all know there's an issue with elections. Last term's Senate passed a resolution calling for some sort of special committee on elections. Not one person, not one branch has the answer to these problems. We need to work together every week to try to find solutions. So to just kind of turn to the why. I hope that in this speech and last week's speech, you've seen the dedication and passion and interest that I have in SGA and in Senate, and see the ideas that I have moving forward that can benefit this body and the student body as a whole. I hope that those of you who have been around this year have seen my hard work and seen what I love and see how I interact with everyone. I hope that those of you who know me personally already and those of you who are yet to get to know me and will get to know me personally in the future know that I am a caring person who will drop anything and help anyone at any moment. All of these qualities are qualities that you should look for and expect from a speaker. You should expect a speaker to meet with you and work with you, and I think that all of the candidates will do this, but I want to let you know that I will definitely uphold that piece of the role and will be there for any senator who needs it all the time, even if they are annoyed by how often I want to meet and talk with everyone. I want to keep my door open metaphorically and physically so that any and every SGA member or student feels comfortable to come and talk and discuss what they're passionate about, how we can improve Senate, and how we can improve this university. Again, I hope that you've seen all of this, and I hope to answer any questions that you still have about my platforms, who I am, and what experiences I've had to prepare me for this role. I've learned so much from so many members across this organization organization. I have had great mentors, and I can't wait to be that no matter what role I play again next year for those to come. Thank you.
All right, with that, are there any questions for Senator Colburn? Mohammed?
Yeah, so I did debate and forensics in high school, as I'm sure a lot of us did. So I'm definitely naturally someone who loves to talk out ideas. So when someone disagrees with me, I love to fully flesh out and understand where they're coming from and why they have those ideas. I like discussions like that, and I want to get to the bottom. Definitely like playing a little bit stronger on my stance or playing a little bit stronger on their stance to truly evaluate good ideas. I've had so many conversations in CSI with people who think differently than I do and have different approaches to things. And at the end of that conversation, I always like to walk away feeling resolved with both parties, seeing if we can't come to agreement on what should be done next, then let's at least understand where each of us are coming from and remove any animosity and instead look to see, this is why you have your perspective, this is why I have mine. I hope that we and know that we can both respect that. So moving forward, we can work together in the future and understand every side of the argument a little bit better.
Further questions? Senator Hines.
Right, because when someone is like presenting something up here, like I'll give, for instance, when the Relations Committee came up and talked about the affirmative consent, PowerPoint? Sorry, I lost that word. They sent that out, but I know so many times, like in a Senate exec, a lot of people will give a presentation and it's like, oh, we'll send that out. And it's like, well, we don't want to send that out to every senator because they don't know what this is about, or sending it out can be difficult because usually the person presenting it forgets about it afterwards. So when we put that onus on someone else, someone like the speaker, to upload that to that week's Senate folder, that like module or that committee's folder that everyone has access to, the individuals that have those presentations and are sent those presentations are responsible for uploading it themselves. Again, like rather than having the senator, the one-off senator who comes up and gives a presentation doing it, it would be on like the team that would sit in the front of the room or the team that chairs that committee to do that. Since there are in that leadership role, it will happen since they can easily be held more accountable.
Follow-up?
Yeah, so this again comes back to just generally why I think a Canvas page is really useful for organizations. Again, I'm part of different organizations that have an OrgSync page and also have a Canvas page. And that Canvas page is great for these informational documents rather than navigating OrgSync that has a lot of folders, and that is great for forms and is great for legislation, but not necessarily great when you want to upload a PowerPoint or things like that. I think it's safe to say that most of us have Canvas on our phones. So that's one, just easily more accessible than OrgSync. I don't have the OrgSync app downloaded. I have to sign in every time. Looking for ways that we can make things more efficient. Even if OrgSync or Engage, which we're moving to, might work and might get the job done, we need to look for things that work better for senators and can also be more public to all students. So again, ensure that the Canvas page kind of works internally and then moving externally so that any and every student has these easy to understand documents and presentations available to them, I think is really important.
Further questions? All right, seeing none, we will come grab you in a second. All right, we will now move into a period of debate on the candidates. So the debate will go in the same order as the candidates spoke, starting on Kulkarni, then to Heatherman, and then to Colburn. Debate will work just like every other piece of legislation. There will be opportunities to debate for either candidate as we go in that order. And then once we reach 5 opportunities for debate for all 3 of the candidates, so 15 total opportunities for debate, previous question can be called which means we move directly into a vote. So are there any questions on what this process will look like? Also, each person debating will have 5 minutes to speak and a time for questions. All right. If not, I will now look for debate for Vedant Kulkarni. Hannah Heatherman. Senator Smith. All right, please come forward.
Hi guys, it's fun to see so many new faces. Sorry about my attire. I was at a philanthropy event before this. My name is Sarah Needery and I'm a senior in agricultural economics and previously served in student government for 4 years, starting as an intern, serving as a privileged free committee chair, and a College of Agriculture senator. I'm here today to state my support for Hannah Heatherman as this year's speaker. If you were here 2 weeks ago, you heard the past student body president describe Hannah as a worm. And before you start thinking about how weird that is, let me tell you about the leadership style of a so-called worm. According to the Illinois Extension Service, the earthworm is responsible for a lot of the things that help make our soil good enough to grow healthy plants and provide us food. Worms help to increase the amount of air and water that gets into the soil. They break down organic matter, like leaves and grass, into things that plants can use. They do all of these things, but we don't ever really recognize them for the positive impacts that they're having on us. Hannah is a leader that works underneath the surface. She finds leaders and grows them and encourages them to make a difference. She is humble, never needing to be recognized for her service. She is secretly doing all the work behind the scenes, ensuring that every project, piece of legislation, or event will end up working out smoothly. I've seen this through her service in the Privileged P Committee, arguably the committee that has to make the hardest, most controversial decisions. When I was planning the Big 12 conference last year, a conference where student government leaders from across the Big 12 came to Kansas State, Hannah was the one to drop everything on a Tuesday afternoon with only 2 hours' notice to get van driver certified so that our conference could be a success. Hannah was not on the planning committee or even an attendee at the conference, but she served as our little worm throughout the weekend to ensure that everything was going to work out smoothly. I believe that Hannah is the type of speaker that you need in this Senate body, someone that's going to go above and beyond the call of duty, someone that's going to empower the rest of you to do your own projects and be there to pick you up when you fail. I just met Hannah last year, and she even trusted me to nominate her for Speaker Pro Tem without even meeting me, and I messed up her name really bad, but that's beside the point. Hannah is a strong leader, and I believe she is the most qualified and best for this job. My last piece of advice is, even if you've heard 5 speakers for each of the candidates, not to just call for previous question just because you want to get out of here sooner. It's really important that you really hear and what these leaders have to say and what other people have to say about them. Thank you.
All right, are there any questions for our speaker? All right, seeing none, is there any debate for Senator Colburn? Intern Glasscock. Senator Glasscock.
Hello, I'm Creighton Glasscock, Senator for the College of Engineering. I've come up here tonight to speak to you about the reasoning behind my vote and to share with you my unique perspective on one of the candidates here tonight. Now, I've known Lily Colburn for about 5 years now. We went to high school together here in Manhattan, working alongside each other on everything from projects to committees. As such, I believe I uniquely can speak to the strength of her character. She not only constantly works to improve her own leadership, but to improve the leadership of others. She, in this way, has acted as a catalyst for my own success, giving me the strength to grow as a leader alongside her. In high school, when I was the senior class vice president, she served as the student body president, providing not only me, but the entire student council with the direction and guidance to better improve the school around us. So, as we entered into college together, the prospect of working alongside Lily again as an SGA intern was exciting to me. As the year progressed, it came as no surprise to me to see how quickly she assumed leadership as the chair of the Special Committee on Membership, never breaking stride in her goal to better the experiences of people around her. Lily is open, personable, and consistent, traits which I see as perfect for a speaker. Now, I would advise you not to let her age deter you in your vote in any way. I would consider it a non-starter. Her actions this year already speak far louder to her experience and capability than any number could. I am more than confident that, given the opportunity, Lily will go above and beyond in fulfilling her duties as speaker. I see Lily's strong leadership and guidance as the key to bettering ourselves not only as senators, but as a Senate as a whole. For these reasons, it is with confidence that I will place my vote for Lily Colburn tonight, and I look forward with excitement to the positive changes she will make if elected to the Senate, SGA, and the student body as a whole. With that, I thank you for your time, and I open myself to questions.
All right, with that, are there any questions for our speaker?
Thank you.
All right, seeing none. Is there any debate for Kulkarni? All right, seeing none, is there any debate for Heatherman? All right, seeing none, is there any debate for Colburn? Intern Oxford, Senator Oxford. There were no hands that went up for the other two candidates. Okay, I'm sorry. No, if you could go ahead and sit down. Is there any debate for Kulkarni? This is the second opportunity we're going back on again. Is there any debate for Heatherman? Okay, moving on to Senator Oxner. If you could come forward, please.
All right, I'm going to be casting my vote for Senator Colburn tonight because I believe in her ability to lead the Senate and the aspects she's shown me as a leader just in this year that I've gotten to know her here at K-State. I remember a conversation with Lily out in the Union. It was really late one night after we were done studying, and we were talking about some of our favorite things here at K-State, and we got really deep into like why we're here, which is very weird for people to be talking about that late at night. But we were talking about what we love about K-State, and she said, I'm really passionate about our land grant mission here at K-State. And I'm really passionate that we are a university that is meant to serve the people of the state of Kansas in the United States. And she goes, I think it's really unique that we are the only university here in the state and that we were the first in the country to do that. And I believe that Lily really sees that mission here in the Student Governing Association, being able to serve students in the best way that we can every day. She takes everyone's opinion to heart. For example, we disagree fundamentally on many things, but we're still friends at the end of the day. And she's open to listen to anyone. And I've seen her do that day to day here in the Student Governing Association as she headed her own committee as a freshman. She at times even intimidates me in a committee room as she leads the way and takes power in the conversation, listens to others, takes advice from others, and makes strides above the rest of us. She's someone I think that will take the opinions of everyone to heart and lead to the best of her ability here in the Student Senate. I really think Lily's experience speaks for herself in this past year and what she can do. I wouldn't let her age deter you at all from voting. I don't think that's something that we should be considering at all. I really think she does take everything she does to heart, truly, and I think she'll do that here for us in the Senate. I truly believe in her passion, and also to speak on her part of using Canvas. I think that's an incredible idea. The administration uses Canvas every day as a part of our committee work and to send out information, to store files. Fraternities are now using Canvas to send out information as store files, and I think that's an incredible aspect and something that we could definitely take advantage of to really streamline the work we're doing here in the Student Governing Association and make it more efficient. With that, I stand for questions.
Are there any questions for our speaker? Okay, seeing none, is there any debate for Kulkarni? All right, any debate for Heatherman? Senator Beasley. Please come forward.
All right. Hi, everyone. For those of you I haven't met before, my name is Shelby Carpenter. I was recently a senator for the College of Education and the Senate Operations Committee chair. I just finished out my last year in Senate as I'm a senior in the College of Ed, and I'll be student teaching this fall. So I'm happy for this opportunity to come back tonight and speak on behalf of Hannah Heatherman. I would like to go into just a little bit of why I believe you all should vote for Hannah as Speaker of the Student Senate. First, focusing on her intentional dedication to the betterment of SGA and student life at K-State. She has started several projects and taken on many initiatives to improve not only the inner workings of SGA, but getting students connected to the resources and opportunities here. For example, when she took on her leadership role as the caucus leader of the College of Business, she organized several meetings with first-year students in the College of Business to educate them about the opportunities and the chances they have within SGA, who to get in contact with in SGA, who's representing them in SGA, and I thought that was just hitting the ground running, a really wonderful start to her career of leadership experience within student government. Additionally, she has shown a very strong appreciation and dedication to the legislative process, which is a huge aspect of being Speaker of the Student Senate. As Senate Operations Chair, I had the privilege of overseeing the legislation going in and out of this body, and Hannah and I worked closely in the working group to revise our governing documents and also improving the legislative process, making sure that what we were doing in practice was reflected in our policy. And she just had the most amazing ideas. She was very creative, collaborative, and also very flexible too. And all of these key traits, I think, are something that you guys should be looking for in your next speaker. This will be short, sweet, and to the point. Hannah is very self-driven. She has a self-driven ability to get things done and make a positive, lasting impact for change. She is dedicated, personable, passionate, and encouraging. And I truly think that she would be your best choice for Speaker of Student Senate.
All right, with that, are there any questions for our speaker? All right, seeing none. Are there any debates for Colburn? Senator Meinhardt. Please come forward.
Sorry, I'm a little taller. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all of you on getting elected as representatives for your student body. I see a lot of familiar faces, but I see probably more unfamiliar faces, which is really exciting to see. So my name is Corbin Sedlacek. For those of you who do not know me, I've been involved in SGA the past 2 years, both, well, actually, last year in the judicial branch on Student Tribunal, as well as the elections commissioner, and then this past year I served on cabinet as the local relations director. So I'm here to talk about my support for Lily Colburn because I, too, like a previous speaker, have had the pleasure to know her for being from Manhattan myself. So I'm here just to kind of talk about who she is as a person because I truly believe that's also extremely relevant to this conversation because yes, the accomplishments that these three individuals have had on SGA are really important, but it's also at the end of the day who they are as people and who they are going to be representing yourselves as student leaders and the entirety of the student body. So one great example, as a previous speaker mentioned, Lily was the student body president at her time at Manhattan High School. Through this, she and her fellow seniors organized a reach out day in response to the Parkland shooting. In this reach out day, they did a lot of work getting people registered to vote. They coordinated stuff with Hy-Vee, had pies there for students, which was really cool. And they also organized a letter writing campaign to local representatives. This is just one example of many that I could list off, but I don't have time for, that show the type of woman that Lily Colburn is. I also firmly believe that Lily belongs in this place. I can say that with wholeheartedness because I, one, recommended her for the intern program, to which afterwards I told her I did that, and she said, LOL, I already applied, which is definitely who Lily is. But in addition to that, before the pairings of mentor-mentees, to which she was paired with Jordan Keel, the previous student body president, I told her that she needed to talk to Ryan Kelly because I know that she's capable of great things, and she is capable of great things, and being in the intern program kind of more legislative, I'm like, okay, go talk to Ryan, you need to talk to Ryan, he can get you situated. Ryan obviously saw that too, and last year's Senate did as well when they appointed her as the chair of the Special Committee on Membership. But yeah, I'll be blunt. I've tried to convince Lily multiple times to do something else with SGA. I've talked to her multiple times about applying for my previous position as local relations director or sustainability director because I know she'd do a great job in anything that she does. But at the end, after multiple conversations with her, this is truly where she belongs, and I believe that wholeheartedly, and that's why I'm up here speaking, because, I mean, even after this, I still feel that no matter what she does, she is the best possible person for this position. And yeah, and just the last point I want to make. So with regards to her 5 points, Canvas page, really cool. I've been in SGA for a couple of years now, and I have literally no idea how to work OrgSync. Canvas, I kind of understand, so that'd be really cool. But also, as a previous elections commissioner, I believe that Lily is the most qualified individual of the three to be the leader and putting together that joint committee on elections reform. And with that, I stand for questions.
All right, with that, are there any questions for our speaker? All right. Seeing none, we will look for the fourth opportunity to debate for Kulkarni. Senator Abdullah. Sorry. Any for Kulkarni? All right. We'll now move to the fourth opportunity for debate for Heatherman. Caucus Leader Kidd. All right, please come forward.
Hello, everybody. My name is Madison Brown. I just recently finished a term as a College of Business Senator, and I served as the vice chair of the Privilege Fee. So I met Hannah at the beginning of the year when we decided to share a parking pass and carpool to meetings, and it was one of the best decisions that I've ever made. Hannah is one of the hardest working people I know, and it has been a privilege to see her lead and grow within SGA. Since day one, Hannah has been passionate about students and has gone a step above and beyond in everything she's done. And I'm sure you may have ran into her to CSI at some point and ended up talking about SGA for an hour and a half. Hannah always insists we blast the K-State band CD on the way to Senate and somehow knows the governing documents better than the back of her hand. And I know there is no one better to serve as Speaker of the Student Senate. Being in the College of Business Caucus, I got to see firsthand Hannah's ability to motivate people and create change. As caucus leader, she took initiative to set up presentations for every general business class. And while it might not seem like the largest thing, it's a logistical nightmare, and we were able to speak to over 1,000 students. Hannah saw that there was an opportunity for us to better serve and engage with our constituents, and she turned that idea into action. Another example of Hannah going above and beyond, and something I'm so proud of, is her work on the President's Commission on the Status of Women, and her advocacy for the CARE Office, and working to help get them funding for a sexual prevention specialist. Through listening to the CARE Office on the Women's Commission on K-State, she saw their current grant only allows for reactive services and doesn't allow them to do anything for prevention. Hannah worked with them and started the conversation to help to get them SCTE funding for this specialist, and I believe it has made a real impact on our campus. Hannah worked heavily with professors and administrators to execute and promote the College of Diversity Summit, and the College of Business Diversity Summit, and the event would not have been nearly as successful without her hard work. This is just one of the experiences that Hannah has that makes her the most qualified to work with administrators and tackle tough issues as Speaker. Speaking of tough issues, I got to serve in the Privilege Fee Committee this year with Hannah, and I've been able to see her commitment and passion, especially with controversial topics. We have been on the opposite side of some tough conversations and decisions this year, and every time, Hannah has spent countless hours talking to students and stakeholders. She always makes sure she understands both sides of the issues and looks at all the information, as well as plays devil's advocate and helps us find the best decision possible. Our many late night talks about SGA over Taco Bell helped me learn a lot about Senate, develop my thoughts on legislation, as well as see her true passion for serving others. It's hard to put into words how qualified Hannah is for this position, because I've been able to see it from watching her first think about being interested in it to now being here debating for her. And I can tell you all that she has been so intentional with every platform and every idea, and that she will follow through with all of them. Hannah is a caring, very qualified individual, and I truly think she will serve as the best Speaker of the Student Senate for next year. I now stand for questions.
All right, are there any questions for our speaker? All right, seeing none, I will now look for debate for Colburn. Senator Abdullah is that? Okay.
Hello, everyone. And for those who don't know me, my name is Mohammed. I just transferred last year from Nebraska School UNL to K-State. I serve at the students' government in two university now, and for up to 3 years and a half. I get to close with the speaker, and today I'm really, from my heart, I'm giving my support to Lily for two reasons. Last week, I sat down with her for more than an hour, and we was very details about everything. I don't know her personally, but today I'm really standing to support her because the reason why I think the passion she gave, the details she go with me about students government. I'm not like new about students government. I have been from my freshman and I'm a senior this year. I know most of the things was going on in the students government, especially with the speaker. I think she is so passionate about the things. As a freshman and she create all the things, I really, really think I have the most confidence she gonna create so many things during her sophomore, junior, and senior year. I think she is capable, she is committed with the students' government, and I think she is passionate about changing the students' government at the K-State. And that's why I think she is capable for that position, her passion, her smile, her positive. I think all that, it's empowering, it's really motivate everyone here to do the best of their ability to represent the K-State and the students' government in a great way. And that's why I really hope everyone in this room can trust her, can give her the confidence, and can give her a chance to really represent this house, represent this organization in a great way. I'm really standing for any question if there is anyone.
All right, with that, are there any questions for our speaker? All
Thank
right.
you.
Seeing none, we'll now look for the fifth opportunity for Kulkarni to debate, for people to debate for Kulkarni. All right, seeing none, fifth opportunity for Heatherman. Senator Whitmer.
Yeah, so for anyone I have not yet met, my name is Tel Whitmer. I'm a student in the College of Education, senator for the College of Education. No, it's okay, thank you. So tonight I rise in support of Hannah Heatherman for Speaker of the Student Senate. Behind every great institution, project, organization, and school, there is always committed, selfless, and intelligent individuals working behind the scenes to ensure that everything is constantly being brought to fruition and being brought to the fullest extent of its ability. And so, and many times those people go largely unnoticed, and yet it's hard to fathom where we would be without them. In this picture lies one of the greatest leadership lessons I ever learned. So I'm going to school to be a teacher. One of the greatest lessons a teacher ever taught me was that leaders come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. And you don't always have to be a charismatic or front of the group person leading individuals. Perhaps one of the best forms of leadership is when you set an example. And I think that's a requirement when we're looking at leaders. And one of those people that always comes to mind when I think of someone who exemplifies these qualities is Hannah Heatherman. So Hannah's that kind of leader who, when her work is done, our people are better, our institution is better, and she does this all without any credit. So I'd like to reflect a little bit and share some about what I've noticed Hannah do throughout her time at SGA. Over the last year, Hannah has exemplified what it means to be a committed caucus leader to her students in her college. I've experienced this myself as a fellow caucus leader and have definitely recognized everything Hannah's done to go above and beyond when it comes to engaging the College of Business. So the caucus system itself as a whole is relatively new in SGA, and there hasn't been a whole lot of precedence on what all caucuses should do throughout the year. Despite this, Hannah's done so much and has really created a vision for the College of Business caucus and has kept out with outreach activities throughout the entire year. In addition to that, she's organized for senators in her college to present to her intro to business classes in her college, and was also able to recruit students to the intern program through this first semester and second semester. She also administered a survey to students in these classes. And so I just think she has definitely embodied what it means to be a caucus leader. So in addition to that, she's also been known to go out of her way, not only to myself, but I know many of you in this body, to talk to students who have concerns when there's controversial legislation being brought up, and just bring out what's going on in our body. No matter what the project is, Hannah's always willing to follow through. She says, when she says she's going to do something, you know she's going to do it. She's just that kind of person. Hannah's never failed in her commitments to SGA and to us, and I don't foresee her failing in her commitments when it comes to enacting her platforms. Moreover, Hannah's an incredibly intelligent leader. There's no doubt that she's a task-oriented person, and before jumping into something, even if she's eager and ready, she's always listening and paying attention, and that's so important, just to have a great listener. This is really evident in her platforms.
Time for the speakers expires. Is there a motion to extend? Senator King. It's been moved and seconded that we extend the speaker's time by 5 minutes. If there are no objections, you have 5 more minutes.
Thank you. So this is her ability to organize herself and organize her tasks is really evident in her platforms. I remember a few months ago, Hannah attended our travel allocations meeting, and it was really out of the blue. I wasn't expecting her to be there at all. And it just so happened she went around to all the committees and was interested to see how they operated individually and on an individual level. Because even she had spent time on other allocation committees and yet still took the time to see how our committee functioned. And that really surprised me and stood out to me. She didn't take the assumption that she already knew how our committee worked. And I think that just goes to speak for her character and the kind of person she is. So this was really a priority to her, and when she was trying to understand the dynamics of every committee. And I know just on my own, I've definitely seen her go out of her way and seen what she's done to devote her time in SGA. And she definitely devotes an enormous amount of time each day and each week to us and the operations that goes on throughout the week in the student union, especially for us. But most of this work doesn't go with credit or recognition, and she's perfectly happy with that. And regardless, that never stops her investing the same amount of time each day. So what I'm saying is we really need an intelligent leader now more than ever in this body and in our Student Governing Association to move forward. Especially after elections this year, I think there's never been a greater need to carry on leadership, and that person to carry on the leadership is Hannah Heatherman. So again, luckily, we're really blessed with the candidates we have. I think Vedant, Lily, and without a doubt, Hannah are all phenomenal candidates. And it's not like that everywhere, because I have a friend at the godforsaken University of Missouri, and he doesn't want anything to do with their student government because they don't have the prestige and credibility that we have as student leaders. So definitely, I think we're blessed with the students we have, like yourselves in here. So be proud of being a senator. And definitely, though, the one person that blows me away with her selfless leadership to this body and university is Hannah Heatherman. And so when evaluating candidates tonight, I just ask that you consider the difference between those who have merely done their job and those who have gone above and beyond in working behind the scenes to make this institution what it is and to make SGA what it is. Thank you.
All right. With that, are there any questions for our speaker? All right. Seeing none, is there any debate for Colburn? Spellman, or Senator Spellman.
Hi, everyone. Of course, it's been said before, but for those that do not know me, my name is Haley Spellman. I am a senator for the College of Arts and Sciences, and I previously served as the Governmental Relations Committee chair during last term. I wanted to come up here and speak to you tonight on why I am voting yes for Lily Colburn for Speaker of the Student Senate, and I have a number of reasons for this vote. The first, of course, just being the type of leader that Lily is. The first big interaction that I had with her was during the Tilford Conference on Multiculturalism and Diversity. And of course, that was in Hays, Kansas, a couple hours in a car. And that was the first time that I had the opportunity to see how Lily acted, to hear her talk, to see what she was passionate about, and to truly recognize that she was going to be the next leader of both the Senate and this entire student body. The lessons that I learned at Tilford was recognizing her passions and seeing those passions continue into her chairing the Special Committee on Membership. This, of course, her being an intern, this was something that was unprecedented, and I think that she did a phenomenal job as chairing this committee. And what her chairing the Special Committee on Membership taught me, both when I was sitting in the first couple meetings, she really knows how to run a committee. That first 2 meetings, there were 20 plus people in the room, and she handled it tremendously well. She knew how to manage the chair or manage the position of being the chair, how to facilitate the conversation, how to direct it in a positive way. And I think this experience itself this experience would help her transition into being Speaker of the Student Senate because she knows how to handle this conversation. She knows where to direct them in the most productive way possible. This, of course, being the type of leader that Lily is, I also saw this when we were creating the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, the DEI Committee. I was one of the individuals that helped her write the legislation, and I'm very happy to be part in that, to have that role. But in the creation of the DEI Committee, I saw just how strong of a leader Lily would be for this position as well. Transitioning now into the projects and goals that she has, I think that they are very innovative, very creative, and it speaks to the type of leader that she is and the type of leader that she would be for next year. With the creation of DEI, it's something that's unique. It's something that her being a leader in this role, especially if she were to become Speaker, would help facilitate that conversation and to make the DEI Committee something that SGA really needs and help guide that conversation for this term, the next term, so on and so forth. With the creation of DEI, though, it shows that her being able to know what responsibilities would be designated towards that committee, and it would help her show or being able to pick the best chair for that committee as well. In addition, though, one of her platforms was focusing on committees such as the Joint Committee on Elections and focusing on membership in Senate Exec. That interbranch collaboration is something that I think the Senate body really needs, and I think it's something that SGA entirely needs. And I think that her project in here is something that's very unique to this role in terms of just having new ideas, coming in with a fresh slate, and bringing that creativity to the Senate body. In addition, of course, with the elections, the Joint Committee on Elections, there was a resolution passed at the very last day of Senate, about two weeks ago exactly. And that resolution was calling for push in our election system. I was the primary author on that. I came up here, read the legislation, gave a brief summary, and debated in favor of it. And I think she really took that resolution and wanted to make genuine change in our election system. We all know, of course, being elected and running.
Time for speakers expires. Is there a motion to extend? Senator Oxner. All right, it's been moved and seconded to extend the speaker's time by 5 minutes. If there are no objections, you have 5 more minutes.
Thank you. But going with the Joint Committee on Elections, I think she took that resolution up and she wants to make genuine change. I just mentioned it, but all of us, of course, navigating the election system, we understand how complicated it can be, how much of a deterrent it can be for students outside of this body. Especially for the newcomers in the room, especially if you weren't an intern or had any kind of SGA experience before, it's something that's very complicated, and it's something that should be very simple if we want to encourage all of our SGA members or all of our student body members to be a part of this organization. Finally, I'll go ahead and conclude with just the future of SGA on top of the elections resolution. Lily was the top vote getter for the College of Arts and Sciences. And her being a freshman and her running for this position, I think that speaks so many words to her ability to be a student leader, and it speaks so many words to her ability to be in the position of Speaker of the Student Senate. Lastly, I'll go ahead and conclude just with the overall person that Lily is. Of course, I've had plenty of experiences talking to Lily throughout the entire year. I understand the type of leader that she is and the type of leader that she would want all of us SGA members to become. But just in conclusion, if you haven't had a chance to already have a conversation with Lily or just to get to know her a little bit better, I encourage you all to step up, ask her to get a cup of coffee or meet or just hang out sometime. She's very personable, she's very fun to be around, and it's been an honor serving with her for the past year, and I look forward to serving with her for the next year to come.
All right, with that, are there any questions for our speaker? Okay, seeing none, is there any debate for Kulkarni? Please. Yes, you can now. I will say that there were a couple other hands up, but yeah, if you'd like to move previous question, you certainly can. All right, previous question has been called and seconded. This is a motion that is not debatable and is a two-thirds vote. Two-thirds vote. So we'll move into a hand vote. Al, do you have a procedural question, Senator Hines? Do you have a question? It goes into the vote. It goes into the vote. So again, we are now going to take a hand vote on the motion to call previous question. Voting yes means that you want to go directly into a vote. Voting no means you want to allow more time for more debate. Is that clear? Okay. So with that, I'll ask that you count. Can all those in favor of calling previous question and moving directly into a vote, please raise their right hand. Please raise your hand a little higher. Thank you. All right, you can go and put your hands down. Everyone, I guess, opposed to this, calling previous question, please raise your right hand. If you could raise your hands high one more time. Let's recount. All right, you can go and put your hands down. And now, can you raise your hand if you just voted for your proxy vote? Did anybody do that just now? Okay, great. So now we have all those proxies, right? So now I'm going to do the same thing, yes or no votes with proxy votes. Okay, so all in favor by proxy, please raise your hand, your right hand. Right? All right, we're going to go ahead and redo the vote, and we're going to recount. That's my fault. All in favor of calling previous question and moving into a vote, please raise your right hand, and if you are a proxy, raise two hands, and raise them very high. All right, you can go and put your hands down, and then we'll go ahead and look for people voting against this motion to call previous question. And in this case, if you have a proxy, please put both hands up. Nice and high. All right, you can go and put your hands down. Are there any abstentions? All right. Seeing none by a vote of 21 to 27, the motion to special order fails. So we'll go back into debate. Is there debate for Kulkarni? All right. Seeing none, is there further debate for Colburn? Heatherman. Is there a debate for Heatherman? Sorry, Senator Booth.
Hello, everyone. If you did not know or haven't met me yet, my name is Andrew Booz. I'm a computer science major and a freshman. And this year, really, I was an intern. And that means that I've actually had time to work fairly closely with 2 of the 3 candidates. And that's been a pleasure and an honor to do so. Today I rise in favor of Hannah Heatherman, but before I really get into my reasons why, I want to start with just saying that these candidates, all 3 of them are great candidates, and like whichever one wins, like we will be in good hands. And as a previous scholar stated, I completely believe that, and it's been hard for me to choose, and sometimes tonight. So as far as Hannah goes, I want to discuss 2 things which have kind of already been discussed about Hannah and her positions, and then I want to discuss one thing that really hasn't been touched on very much this week that I think is important as well. The first one would be her passion for the governing documents, and if you know me, you know that I also have this passion, and so like that's a thing that I would love to do in the new Senate, and many of like the other 2 candidates would definitely help me along the way as well. But I think Hannah is uniquely passionate about this area. First, the first way I got to know her really was through the working group on governing documents. And she, along with Shelby Carpenter, who has already spoken, spearheaded that working group in order to try to fix some things about our governing documents and make them more consistent. Now, a previous speaker said that Lily Colburn would be best for elections, but I don't think that's the case. I think Hannah would be best for elections because of that experience in the working group. And as a previous speaker noted, knowing the governing documents better than a lot of people do. And so I think Hannah would be better because of her knowledge and because of her experience already in the area of governing documents and in other areas relating to elections. Now, the second point I want to make is talk about how Hannah wants to do a one-on-one with every senator before September. That's in her Activating Student Senate platform. And now other candidates have talked about how they are always open, and I definitely believe that they are. But I think that is a very, like Hannah has set a very ambitious goal for herself, which I believe that she will do. And you know, if she does, when she does, she will know senators better than either of the other 2 candidates and be able to help them and help them speed their own goals. And so I think that's a differentiating factor as well. Finally, on the thing that I think hasn't been touched on much is committee selection and oversight. So she proposes a holistic committee selection process that will help get different voices into various committees, including Privilege Fee, the other fee committees, and other committees such as Senate Operations. And I think that it would be a great thing to implement, and I definitely support that idea. And also, she's planning on attending committee meetings and meeting with committee chairs very often, and so helping her know what is going on in committees and what she can do to help. And so I think that's a unique differentiating factor. If you want more connection between the speaker and committees, you should vote for Hannah Heatherman. Finally, my final point is I want to make the point that if you see great ideas in these platforms, that don't let them stop here. No matter who gets elected, take the ideas you see and run with them. So, for instance, I think having caucus leaders and Senate exec would be kind of cool. And if Lily doesn't get elected, I will definitely support a way to get that in without making Senate exec feel like maybe super crowded. So, for
time for the speakers to expire. Is there a motion to extend? Senator Hines. It's been moved in second. Extend the speaker's time by 5 minutes if there are no objections. You have 5 more minutes.
Thank you so much. So maybe instead for you, that great idea is the Canvas page, or if Hannah doesn't get elected, that great idea is the committee selection process, or another area where the candidates don't necessarily agree, but they'd still be open to implementing. And so I'd urge you as senators, and I'd urge the candidate who wins to the Speaker of the Student Senate position to take what they think is a great idea and run with them. So really, I believe these candidates are all great candidates, but that Hannah has some differentiators which are very important to me, and I think should be important to everyone in this room. And finally, we should take great ideas, no matter where they're from, and run with them. Thank you. I stand for questions.
All right. With that, are there any questions for our speaker? All right. Seeing none, is there any debate for Senator Colburn? Senator Heisey.
Hello. This is a little bit awkward as a newcomer, but so last week I sat in here and I hadn't met any of the candidates. Well, I take that back. I had met Hannah about a year and a half ago, but had totally forgotten about it, so I didn't really realize who I was listening to. So all of my perspective comes from the few minutes that I had to observe all of the candidates in their speech. And the things that I would like to observe on is that Lily advocated for something that's been very important to me as an undergraduate and continues to be important as a graduate student, and that is access to SGA information. She's the first person to advocate a system that allows us to see what the heck is happening in this body, right? So for 3 years I've been on campus and I've been wondering, what does the SGA represent, right? And it turned out I had to join it to figure that out because I didn't really have accessible information. So number one is she's the first to advocate for that. Number two is that I also am a graduate teaching assistant in public speaking. And as I watched each of the individuals, the thing that impressed me most is her ability to organize thoughts and present them on the fly in a very dynamic and convincing manner. Right? I appreciated that about how she addressed the questions. And not only does she have a voice, but she uses it. She stands up here, she's not afraid. I did not like, and I hate that people brought attention to her age because that's not relevant to this body. What's relevant is what she stands for and the voice that she advocates with. Okay, and from that perspective, she was very powerful. So a previous speaker spoke to leadership, right? And I have a different perspective. I spent 5 years teaching Army ROTC at University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. So I've invested a lot of my life, and I spent 32 years in the Army. A lot of my life has been invested in leadership, albeit in a form not normally associated with campus activities and adaptive leadership and community involvement, things of this nature. It is leadership. And what I see in Lily is emergent leadership. That is, in the moment, her leadership rises to the top. And having not known any of the candidates, what I felt watching her speak was her leadership. And it's for that reason that I support her in this. Thank you. Oh.
All right, with that, are there any questions for our speaker? Okay, seeing none, is there any debate for Kulkarni? Is there any additional debate for Heatherman? Senator Howie.
Hi, for those of you guys who I haven't gotten the opportunity to meet yet, my name is Julia Howie and I'm a freshman. I was an intern this past year and I was recently elected to be an Arts and Sciences Senator for next year. To start off, I just want to talk a little bit about the first time that I met Hannah. We were 30 minutes early for the event that we were going to, and so originally I was like, oh no, I need 30 minutes of being on aux, like what songs is this girl gonna like? But then she just launched immediately into telling me about her SGA journey and how awesome that had been for her, and more importantly, what she sees as the future of SGA for her and the positive changes that she thinks could be enacted. And just from this 30-minute car ride, it was apparent to me how knowledgeable, passionate, and open to improvement and change Hannah is. 3 characteristics which I feel are super necessary for the speaker. I felt like I just met like the Siri or the Alexa of SGA. Like if you had any question, you could just be like, Hannah, tell me about governing documents. And so from then on, Hannah has been a person who I feel like I can go to with any question, and even if she doesn't know the answer, I feel like she'll find someone for me who can tell me more about what I'm wanting to know. Through the intern program, I got to observe many of the different committees in SGA, and so one of the platforms of Hannah's that was really attractive to me is transforming how those committees are selected. I feel like within the committees, there's a difference of cultures within each particular committee, and that can potentially lead to students not feeling comfortable or able to contribute within the committee meetings. I feel like Hannah's platform, if enacted, would increase the diversity within the committees, not only in the typical way we usually think of diversity as far as like skin color, but also within diversity of thought, because I feel like diversity of thought is something that is not often as considered, but just as important. Hopefully through this platform, people in the committees will be able to have a stronger sense of belonging and contribution. And lastly, I just wanted to talk about Hannah's role as business caucus leader this year. I actually attended the Diversity Summit for the College of Business because I couldn't go to the one for my own college. And seeing Hannah facilitate the discussion within that summit was really incredible because it depicted her professionalism really well and how she's able to just go up to anyone and really get to know them on a deeper level and present her own values in a way that isn't infringing on their own. Hannah is organized, dedicated, and motivated, and she's never stagnant, which I feel like is something that's really important as a speaker. I don't think if she were elected that she would ever be staying still. I think she would always be moving towards progress and positive change. And so that's why I'm supporting Hannah, and I hope you guys will too. Thanks.
All right, are there any?
Also, I stand for questions.
Are there any questions for our speaker? All right, awesome. All right, now is there any debate for Colburn? All right, previous question has been moved and seconded. All in favor, again, hand vote, 2/3 vote. So all in favor, please raise your right hand. 2 hands for proxies. Oh, that's wonderful. All right, you can go and put your hands down. All opposed, please raise your right hand. Could you raise your hands a little high? Okay. All right, by a vote of 40 to 6 to 0, are there any abstentions? All right, by a vote of 40 to 6 to 0, previous question has been called, which means that we will move directly into a blind vote. I will walk around with some slips. Advisor Harlan and I, okay, Bill and Jansen are gonna walk around with some slips to vote on. If you have a proxy vote, please raise your hand and we will get you 2 slips to vote on. So please just go ahead and keep your hand raised if you're a proxy until you get a couple slips. Hold on 1 second, Senate. If we could go ahead and stay quiet really quickly. Okay, if you were a senator, could you go ahead and raise your hand? If you're a voting member right now, could you just go ahead and raise your hand? And if you do not have a voting slip. If you're a senator and do not have a voting slip already. And if you're a proxy, go ahead and raise 2 hands, real high. Thanks, Alan. Senate, really quickly. Could Olivia Hamlin please raise your hand? Just kidding. Keep talking. All right, Senate, if we go take our seats. We tallied up all the votes, and we did receive a majority. So if we could all put our hands together for our new Speaker of the Student Senate with 31 votes, Hannah Heatherman. All right, if you could please raise your right hand. I'll read a short statement, and if you could say I do at the end, and also introduce yourself again. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of Speaker of the Student Senate and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Kansas State Student Governing Association. All right, well, congratulations, and again, if you could introduce yourself.
My name's Hannah Heatherman. I'm a junior studying finance and organizational management from Ottawa, Kansas, and favorite smell is still baby laundry detergent from last week. All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and move into nominations for Speaker Pro Tempore. This is going to be the same as the process we just followed for Speaker, but condensed into one day. So we'll be seeking nominations, and those need a second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to take a 5-minute recess. Any objections? Okay. Do we vote? All right, 5-minute recess. We'll reconvene at 8:47. All right, if you can all start finding your seats. We'll jump back in, and I'll now be seeking nominations for Speaker Pro Tempore. Senator Jabin. Nathan, do you accept? Seeking further nominations, Senator Spellman. Senator Orzechowski, do you accept? Okay. Seeking further nominations, Senator Hines. Okay. It's been moved and seconded. If there's no objections, nominations will cease. If Matt and Nathan, you'll come up to the front of the room. All right, Senator Bothwell, no, Nathan, sorry, you have 10 minutes.
Good evening. For those of you who I haven't had the chance to meet yet, my name is Nathan Bothwell, and I am running to be Speaker Pro Tempore of Student Senate for the next term. I have loved my experience serving in SGA for the past 2 years, and I feel that I have the opportunity to step into the role of Speaker Pro Tem and bring my signature energy and positivity to the position. Tonight, I want to discuss my SGA experience, my qualifications for this position, and my platforms and ideas for the future. My hope is that after this speech, you will feel confident in voting for me for Speaker Pro Tem. My SGA journey began when I was accepted into the SGA intern program during fall of my freshman year. As an intern, I was actively engaged and learned all about KSU SGA. This passion was noticed by my own intern coordinators, and when there was a vacant student senate seat in the College of Arts and Sciences, I was nominated to fill that position. As a new senator, I actively debated and wrote legislation. Going into my sophomore year, I knew I wanted to stay involved. I ran and was elected to fill a Senate seat this time, but I also applied for the position of intern coordinator. For the past year, me and my fellow coordinator, Sadie Polson, have spent our time educating and planning programming for the next generation of SGA. By the end of the year, Sadie and I had over 110 individual students attend one of our intern meetings, while 49 students chose to actively stay involved with the program for the year. I would argue that this program was successful simply because I can look out and see so many of my previous interns now serving as full-fledged senators. In addition to running the intern program, I've also served as a member on the Senate Executive Committee and the Special Committee on Membership. I believe these experiences, along with my very passionate debates on the Senate floor, have helped shape and prepare me for the role of Speaker Pro Tempore. One of the main responsibilities of Speaker Pro Tem is to assist with the selection of committee chairs and leadership. As both intern and intern coordinator, I have attended every standing committee at least once, giving me knowledge and experience about what is required of every position. In addition, as intern coordinator, I have helped communicate knowledge to other students. Communication is an essential skill for any leadership position, and I have spent the last year communicating with interns, senators, and other SGA leaders. Finally, it is my belief that legislative leadership should remain objective and neutral as much as possible. And while many of you know that I often have strong feelings about certain issues, my role as intern coordinator has taught me how to support all positions. I have helped and offered assistance to all interns throughout the year, regardless of what branch they come from or what their position on an issue is. Anytime a controversial issue came to a vote, I always offered to explain my votes and discuss the issue with the interns afterwards. This ability to support others is crucial in leadership, and I think that I can bring that to the role of Speaker Pro Tem. In addition to these qualifications, I have taken active steps to prepare for the role of Speaker Pro Tempore. I've already met with Joshua Arnoldi, the past Pro Tem, and discussed the challenges he faced and ideas that he has for the future. Through my meetings with Josh, my own experience, and advice from others, I have developed multiple platforms to help reinvigorate the role of Speaker Pro Tem in our legislative branch. One of the jobs of Speaker Pro Tem is to assist with the education of Senate. My first platform of orientation addresses this role. As intern coordinator, I've developed multiple different training documents during the year, including an intern handbook. As Speaker Pro Tem, I'd like to modify that handbook for all of Senate and post it and other training materials on the SGA OrgSync page so they're accessible to all members. In addition, I think it's very difficult to join SGA partway through the term. As Pro Tem, I would like to hold 2 individual training sessions with every new senator that joins during the term. The first training would cover Senate basics, like explaining the different committees, while the second would be an in-depth training on the legislative process, culminating in the individual writing a resolution or commendation and carrying it on the Senate floor. It is important that all new members are oriented as they find our way into our organization. My second major platform is outreach. The Speaker Pro Tem oversees the college caucus system, and I think this system has often been overlooked. Some of our caucuses, such as agriculture, business, and engineering, have been very successful in their outreach efforts. In order to maximize these efforts across all caucuses, I'd like to hold meetings with all caucus leaders once every 2 weeks. At these meetings, caucus leaders will identify areas to perform outreach and the major issues that each college faces. In addition, I would require each college caucus to meet at least once with their respective dean. I also think an area of potential outreach can be through the use of commendations. As senators, we should recognize the accomplishments of our fellow students and let them know about the support of SGA. To do this, I would require every caucus to submit a minimum number of commendations each semester. This way, we recognize the great work that happens on campus. If guided and managed, I believe our college caucuses can be a great successful outreach wing for SGA. My third platform is opportunity, specifically in regards to the Diversity Programming Committee, or DPC, which the Speaker Pro Tem chairs. Since my time in SGA, there has been a lot of discussion regarding the future of this committee. I've heard proposals to move the function of the committee away from the Speaker Pro Tem and instead move the duties to the new Intercultural Leadership Council or to the new Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. While these ideas have merit, I believe that a systematic approach is needed to review the functions of DPC. I would like to take the next year as an opportunity to review the functions of DPC. At the end of the term, I'd submit my recommendation for the future of the committee, whatever that might be. In the meantime, I'd use my skills that I learned as intern coordinator to market the committee to student groups across campus, giving our campus the opportunity to have more diverse speakers and events. My fourth platform is organization. The Speaker Pro Tempore oversees a great deal of day-to-day functions of the legislative branch, and I think being more organized would help the branch run more efficiently. One change I want to make is in regards to our OrgSync website. This summer, K-State is switching to a new platform for student organizations, tentatively titled Engage. I think a new website is the perfect time to review the content on our own site. We have files located in odd spots in old forms dating as far back as 2014. I'd like to go through our site and organize, delete, or move objects as needed to increase the accessibility of it for all students. Another change that I would like to make is the process of sending out legislation. Currently, all resolutions or commendations are sent out physically. This lengthens the process of sending legislation as writers of bills have to know the physical address for every recipient. I propose that we move to sending legislation to students digitally. This will save resources, but also save time for writers and the senders of legislation. My final platform is having an open door policy. When I was an intern, I never spent any time in the Center for Student Involvement, or CSI, and I never once went into the office of any SGA leadership. As intern coordinator, I encouraged interns to spend time in CSI, and now I see them in there all the time. I'd like to create the same attitude for senators. CSI and the legislative office should always be a welcoming place. As Speaker Pro Tem, I would be accessible and easy to talk to. To help with this, I would post my office hours, class schedule, and contact information on the door of the legislative office. This way, I'm easier to reach for all members of SGA. With this, I'd love to be a positive resource for anyone who needs it. So, to recap, my 5 main platforms are orientation, outreach, opportunity, organization, and open door policy. I covered a lot of information in all of those platforms, so it may be difficult to remember what I talked about in all of them. However, you'll notice that all my platforms start with the letter O. That way, as you're thinking about who to vote for later, you can think, Nate? Ooh. With that, I'll answer any questions that the body may have for me.
All right, are there any questions for our speaker? Senator Hines.
Thank you, Alan. I actually didn't run for Senate this year off of the advice of Speaker Kelly. And it's not advice that he gave me this year. Last year, Ryan chaired the Accelerated Fellowship Program before he was running for Speaker. And I asked him, like, why aren't you running for Senate when you're running for Speaker? And Ryan said, like, I'd feel really guilty, like, taking a spot away from someone that I'm helping, like, get into Senate. I didn't understand that at the time, being totally honest. But once I'm intern coordinator, I understand it 1,000%. Like, it made me really upset that some of my interns aren't senators now. Like, some of them didn't get elected into positions. And so it was kind of a really conscious choice on my part to kind of take that advice that Ryan gave me and like leave that spot open for someone else and instead pursue like my own path. Thanks for the question.
Any further questions for our speaker? Seeing none. Oh, Senator Berg.
Yeah, definitely. So Speaker Pro Tem is kind of funny in that it has all these like odd jobs collected underneath it. So they're in charge of like sending out legislation, chairing DPC, overseeing the college caucus system. So I think that the speaker is kind of like the more like visible face, like at the front of the room, overseeing those things. Whereas I think Speaker Pro Tem oversees so many of like the necessary like gears and functions to making SGA happen.
Any further questions? Senator Spellman?
Yeah, so really each like caucus is really different, and that's kind of what I've learned in my own experience. Like I mentioned in my speech, I would argue that engineering, ag, and business have been really successful the past few years with having events. As someone from like the College of Arts and Science caucus, and you're in it too, so I know that you know that it's a lot harder to organize because we have a way more diverse group of individuals. And so I think we have like a problem of being too large, but I think other caucuses face the opposite problem of being too small when you have caucuses like architecture or vet med that only have one senator representing them. So that's really the point of having like bi-weekly meetings with all caucus leaders, is to kind of share that information that everyone's getting. So that way the caucuses that have like good ideas and have been functioning for a while can kind of translate those ideas to other caucus leaders.
Any further questions for our speaker? Senator Booz. Not at the moment, and I also think that would, again, like depend on the size. Like with 15 senators for arts and sciences, I would assume that they could write more in a semester, again, compared to the work of like one senator. That idea, I actually came to me for... Time for questions has expired. Is there a motion to extend? Senator Oxner. It's been moved in second to extend the time for questions by 5 minutes. Any objections? Sorry. Okay, you've got 5 minutes.
Thanks. So the idea for like minimum number of commendations really came to me from watching caucus leader Ayanna Belk for the past year. She was in the College of Architecture, but she like had like I would argue at least once a month. She always had like a commendation recognizing either faculty members or different like students or student groups in the College of Architecture, and she did all of that on her own. So I definitely think that I think that's a great way to stay involved for everyone. And so I think larger caucuses would probably have to submit more than just the one-person ones. But I don't have an exact number at the moment, no.
Any further questions for our speaker? Senator Abdullah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely, I think, an issue that we faced before in the past. At least for me personally, I love like conversations with people, kind of like I was speaking to earlier. So there's like an intern group me that all the interns are in. Every time there was like a controversial issue in Student Senate, I would always say, come talk to me afterwards. Like I will always talk to you, get your opinion and what you want to know. I think that's like the most important part, is just like making sure those leaders are accessible and easy to talk to. So like being open and being able to be talked to. And so my last platform of an open door policy, like having my contact information accessible in that office, I think is a great way for people to be able to get a hold of me, reach out, and have those conversations with students about changes that they want to see in SGA. Yeah, and so I've kind of spent the past year as intern coordinator doing that. As intern coordinator, like a lot of the students in the room are involved because I was able to do that. I think Sadie and I, like, we went and tabled at different events. We went and met with different student groups, and like we're talking to them about SGA and letting them know about the opportunities that were available. I continue to do that. I also mentioned about how I want to like market like DPC, and at least for that, one thing that I've thought about is going to like the different like diverse student groups on campus that typically apply for DPC funds, and like meeting with them and talking about DPC, but also SGA in general, like going to like their events. So like BSU has regular meetings, so like that would be an event that I'd like to go attend and talk to students at.
Any further questions for our speaker? Seeing none, if you'll go get Senator Orskowski.
Presentation a little different. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So my name, did you have to introduce me, Hannah? Sorry. All right, my name is Matthew Zakowski, and I am a first-year senior in industrial engineering and political science. And I am here because I want to be your next speaker pro tem. So tonight I want to cover three things generally. So first, I want to talk about what pro tem is and why I want to run for this position in particular, and talk about just why I'm here generally. Second, I want to talk about my qualifications and my experiences. I think that I can do this job, but obviously I want you all to believe in me as well if you elect me to this position. And third, most importantly, I want to talk about my goals for this upcoming year. So we have a big year. We've all talked about different things we want to do. So I have some goals as well, and we will get to those. So we'll go ahead and dive right in. So first off, why am I here? So I'm here because I wholeheartedly believe in the power of student government, and SGA in particular. I think that there are a lot of student organizations on campus, and this one is special because this is where we all come together. We bring in our different perspectives and our different backgrounds and different experiences to this space and to all of our committees and all of the time we spend outside of this room. And we bring those different perspectives in, and we all have the same goal, which is to make campus a better place. And I believe in that goal. I believe that we have the power to do that. And I'm here running for this position because I see this as my way to help us fulfill the full potential of this organization and of student government generally. There are some duties there of pro tem that I've listed out, but generally, I think the way that I've kind of come to see it is there's a distinction between speaker and speaker pro tem. The speaker manages Senate and the pro tem manages senators. So with the speaker kind of manages this space and the agenda and all of the committees and things. And then the speaker pro tem with the college caucus system, with new senator education, it's kind of a unique role in that the pro tem is in charge of kind of helping you all do your jobs. So that's what I want to do as pro tem, is I want to make your jobs easy. You all ran with goals in mind, and I want to help you accomplish those goals. We're stronger when we work together, and I think the role of pro tem and my place in it is the way forward for this. So second, I want to talk about some of my qualifications and my experience. So I think the biggest one there to highlight for leadership this past year is I was Vice President of Engineering Student Council. So I oversaw a major structural change to the organization. We added a bunch of committees and a bunch of new positions and things. And with that, it meant a lot of just, thinking through all the changes we made and the decisions and saying, is this right? Is this going to stick? Is this going to be a good thing moving forward? And it was a lot of also following up and making sure that everybody was doing their jobs and that we had everything that we had together as goals was getting accomplished. So I think, 4 years in Engineering Student Council, I've seen the inner workings of engineering and I've seen the inner workings of the university. And then this past year, I spent as a senator here in this room. I've only been in SGA for 1 year, but I think I've had a lot of really good experience. I generally feel comfortable with the legislative branch, and that's why I'm here running for leadership in legislative branch. I think that this is the entry point for a lot of people into student government, and I think this is where we all come together. Again, we bring our different voices into this space especially. So yeah, that's my experience with leadership and with SGA there. And then finally, so this is the big one, is I want to talk about my goals for this year. So I'm going to go through these one by one and just kind of hit on the different things that I would like to accomplish in my role as Speaker Pro Tem. So first and foremost is I want to be the best second ever. So I think that, again, like I said, as far as working together, we accomplish more if we're working towards shared goals and shared, ideas and visions. And I think that, I want to work with Hannah and with other Senate leadership in the legislative branch on making, all of this happen. So this is one of the duties, again, of Pro Tem, is kind of being there to help the speaker out. And I think I am ready and willing to do that. And I support all of Hannah's goals. Looking through all the flyers and things last week, I was like, this is great. This is really good. As you'll see, one of mine is kind of an echo of one of hers. So just generally, I think I want to be there as that second person. So second, this is the big one. So we've talked about this a lot this year, is the College Caucus system. So I want to reinvigorate the College Caucus system. So overall, we have this framework in place that we just need to kind of lean on harder. The caucus system is a really good way for us to do our jobs as senators very easily. It's a really good way to organize, and again, around shared goals and shared visions. And I want to kind of lean on it a little harder. So we've talked about having meetings monthly. That's done. I'll do meetings monthly with all the caucus leaders. That's easy. But I think what that kind of gets at is just a better communication is really what's needed. So between the caucus leaders, between the Speaker Pro Tem, and between the caucuses themselves, I think just stronger avenues of communication and good communication is what's really needed there. And then the other thing is I want to find better ways to kind of engage with regular students. So I think the College Caucus system is really well poised to help do this because, again, it's very decentralized where we have a bunch of senators going out and then they kind of come back, report to the caucus leader, who then reports back to Senate leadership and to this body. But yeah, so reinvigorating the College Caucus system. And then third, better relationships with the college councils. So this kind of goes hand in hand with that. Again, it's all about reaching out to regular students and helping us do our jobs well. We have this framework in place with the college councils. One of them doesn't even exist. So step one is to restart the Arts and Sciences College Council. But then from there, it's kind of, again, leaning back on these procedures we already have in place. This means our constitutional amendments are supposed to be ratified by the councils. This is a really good way to kind of establish a working relationship with them. And that's kind of the foot in the door thing. So I want to start with that. But then from there, I'd love to see the caucus leaders attending their council meetings. I think they are, again, they're at that spot where they are the nexus between their caucus, their council, and just leadership in general. So they're kind of sitting at that spot where they're best poised to do all of these different things. And then fourth and finally, make DPC better. So as Pro Tem, I would be chair of DPC, Diversity Programming Committee. And I think there's been a lot of ideas this year about ways to change it. I haven't heard one yet that I think is a silver bullet. But generally, I think the consensus is that maybe we could do better with DPC, and maybe there's room to grow. And I want to spend this year looking out for how to do that. So if a solution does appear, I want to be able to take action on it. Yeah, those are my 4 goals, and I will go ahead and leave you all with my contact info as well. The Pro Tem race is a little different because I didn't have last week to make flyers or anything. But that is my contact info, and win or lose, I would love to talk to you about any of this. And I will leave up my goals slide and stand for questions.
Are there any questions for the speaker? Senator Spellman.
Of course, as pro tem, you'd be in charge of the college caucus system and college councils. What specific goals do you have in mind?
For the college caucus system and the councils? So with the college caucus system, I think I touched on for sure the first one is just start with like base level communication. So monthly meetings, bi-weekly meetings with the caucus leaders, I think is like, that's point A. And then from there, I think it's, leaning on them to reach out to orgs regularly. So that's kind of going to be, from my perspective, a follow-through thing. So talking with them about, okay, which orgs do we need to reach out to this week or this month, and then kind of following up with them and saying, where are you on this, I think is the second thing. But also with that is just broader goals. So I would love to sit down and have a chat with like the whole caucus and say like, what are your goals for this year? And then how can I help you accomplish those goals? And just kind of knowing what everybody wants to do and what their goals are, I think is the place to start. But yeah, as far as like specifics, definitely monthly meetings, definitely following up with goals and with organizations, I think in particular, because especially now that we have DEI, it's going to be a lot on the caucuses and the senators specifically to be doing that like outreach work generally. And then, yeah, from there, it's just kind of looking for ways to just make the caucus system work more efficiently. So does that answer your question?
Seeking further questions for our speaker, Senator Grover.
Yeah, so I guess a couple things. I'll start with maybe the more concrete ones. So I went through the preliminary safe zone training here on campus, as well as a number of the advanced courses. I've been doing those. They're kind of run adjacent to the counseling department. Cody, I believe, is who's in charge of that, and she's great. But with those, I think it's really just a matter of like learning more about others and just learning about the resources that are available on campus is one of the biggest parts of that safe zone. And I guess maybe if you all aren't familiar with that, what that program is it's a lot of the professors and faculty members will do that, and then they'll have a sticker to put on their door that says like, I am a safe zone ally. You can come speak to me if you need help finding resources, if you need somebody to talk to, just like a confidant. So with that, like, I think I've learned some through that. I will not say that I am an expert by any means, but so that's one thing that's pretty concrete there. As well, I actually helped start the Diversity and Inclusion Town Hall last year for the College of Engineering. So from the ESC side of things, Engineering Student Council, I kind of was one of the few people that was running point with it.
Time for questions has expired. Is there a motion to extend? Senator Glasscock. It's been moved and seconded to extend the speaker's time for questions by 5 minutes. Any objections? All right, you have 5 minutes.
Cool. So I guess so those are two of the things that come to mind that I've like specifically done as far as that. But I think just like more generally, as far as like DPC, I see the role as chair of more a like logistics role, like make the committee function well. I'm not there to provide the diverse perspective. Everybody else is. I'm there to make sure that everything is like, it's just running really smoothly. So that means sending out agendas, like getting people, to come so we have quorum and all these other things, and so that those voices are heard, pushing on people to provide, to actually speak up during committees, making it a space where everybody is willing to give their inputs. So I think as far as that, I think that's kind of how I see DPC anyway, is that like my role as chair is less to be there and say the things so much as just to be there and make sure everything goes smoothly so other people can say the things. Does that answer your question?
Granted. Well, okay.
I'll answer that though, actually. So Again, like this goes into my fourth point there as far as make DPC better. I had this discussion before with people about like just scrubbing the pro tem as chair in general, and I would support that because I think, again, like that space, you know, is the speaker pro tem, like why is the pro tem in charge of that committee? And I've never understood that. But you know, as far as like being able to do the job, I can, and I would love to see it move to something different. So I actually, I was passed along information for Stephen Kuchera when he was pro tem, and that was an idea that was in there, was a lot of stuff about how to change DPC. So like this has been, you know, in people's minds for a number of years now, and I would love to see us like take actionable steps. I think with DPC especially, like now that we have the DEI committee, I think there's some way that these two should work in concert with each other. So I'm not sure totally how. Again, like I don't purport to have the answers, but I want to have the discussions, and I've heard tons of good ideas, and I think we should like keep having those discussions and start finding, well, this is what we absolutely want to do. Well, this is definitely what we want to do. This is not what we want to do, kind of thing, and hammer out some specifics. Does that answer your question?
Any further questions for our speaker? Seeing none, if you'll go back to CSI.
Not mute.
We'll come get you.
How do I mute the screen? Oh, thank you, Bill.
Okay, with that, I'll be seeking debate in the positive for Nathan Bothwell. Chief of Staff Polson.
Hello, everyone. For those of you I have yet to meet, my name is Sadie Polson, and this past term I served as co-intern coordinator with Nathan, so I'd like to speak on his behalf tonight. Looking at the Speaker Pro Tempore position, I see an opportunity for growth and development. The Pro Tem has the opportunity to mobilize caucus leaders, encourage inter-branch collaboration, and foster a culture within our Senate meetings that is inviting and empowering. In many conversations this past year regarding Pro Tem duties, I found myself always thinking about what could be. And that's where I see a lot of room for creativity and innovation. SGA needs a visionary, a learner, a listener, an executor, and let me tell you, Nathan Bothwell is innovative. I'll never forget the first time I met Nathan. I was getting ready to leave Wildcat Chamber following the speaker election last year, and he came up to me with extra enthusiasm and said, "Sadie, my name is Nathan Bothwell. I heard you're applying for intern coordinator, and I am too. Good luck." And we high-fived as I stumbled on my own words. Yeah, you too. I was overwhelmed to say the least. How was I supposed to go up against and possibly work with an intern who had the confidence to debate and vocalize what he believed in at such an early time in his SGA career? I was just a cabinet member who had spoken at the podium for the first time that night with a shaky voice and complete naivety as to what I was talking about. But as fate would have it, a couple weeks later, we were sitting at a table in the union planning the intern program schedule for the year. Nathan and I had a rare opportunity to execute the transformation of the intern program. Coming into the position with very different SGA backgrounds, I quickly learned how fast Nate's brain could create activities and ideas for building the program. There were times we would be talking over each other, spitting out ideas left and right. Nate pushed me all year to think as creatively as possible to serve our interns and all students as productively as possible. Nathan Bothwell listens. There are few people in this world who take the time to listen and understand others like Nate does. The greatest example of this comes from his experience serving on the Senate Executive Committee. This year, the committee was faced with many controversial pieces of legislation, and in every single discussion, Nathan took time to hear from key stakeholders in the conversation before coming to his own conclusion. I love watching him soak up every piece of information and then explaining it in a way that allows anyone to understand where he's coming from. Maybe it's his communication strength talking, but Nathan presents information and reasoning behind decisions better than anyone I know. Nathan Bothwell delivers. Nate talks a lot. I think that's pretty obvious based on a few of his debates and our reports this year. But it's how he uses his voice to get things done that sets him apart. In SGA, it's so easy to talk about everything you want to see change or improve. I've always been so impressed by how Nathan takes initiative to make those changes happen, and that's a quality we need in a pro tem. Finally, Nathan Bothwell is a champion. In many instances, whether he was debating as an intern, pushing interns to get out of their comfort zones, or encouraging Senate as a whole to make decisions for the best interest of students, Nathan challenges us. He challenges himself. He challenges the norm. He is committed to doing what is right and to going above and beyond for the overarching mission of our organization. He embodies what it means to be a student leader. We've said over and over again how impactful and successful the intern program ended up being for SGA. But selfishly, I don't think Nate's greatest success was in developing the intern program and its participants. Nathan Bothwell transformed the leader in me. He knew...
Time for the speaker has expired. Is there a motion to extend? Senator Oxner. It's been moved and seconded to extend the speaker's time by 5 minutes. Are there any objections? You've got 5 minutes.
All right. Like I said, Nathan really transformed the leader in me. He knew I had a confident voice inside of me, and he made me use it. He sees the potential in people and pushes them to capitalize on it. So why should you vote for Nathan? Why should he be our next speaker pro tempore? Bottom line, because he cares. He cares more about our organization and our university and all the people we impact than anyone else I have ever worked with. I'm confident Nate will continue to grow SGA in any role he is selected for. But I believe Speaker Pro Tempore is the best fit for him and that he is the best fit for us. And with that, I will stand for questions.
Are there any questions for our speaker? Senator Heisey?
Thank you. When you speak as the Chief of Staff, are you speaking on behalf of the executive branch, or in what capacity are you addressing this body?
Yes, I wanted to speak on behalf of Nathan based on my experience working so closely with him this past year, not on behalf of the executive branch whatsoever.
Any further questions for our speaker? Seeing none. Okay, I'll be seeking debate in the positive now for Senator Orzechowski. Seeing none, I'll be seeking debate in the positive for Nathan Bothwell. Senator Grover.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Saiba Grover. I'm a senator in the College of Arts and Sciences. This is my second year being a senator. Nathan and I have been really good friends for 2 years now, and I wanted to share with you all of the reasons why I believe that he'd make a wonderful speaker pro tem. To start off, Nathan genuinely cares about each and every person in student government, which is very obvious in how much he has cared for each intern as one of the last intern coordinators, as Sadie talked about. No matter what your beliefs are, he will support you in any way you need and make sure you're coordinated with the people you need to succeed. For example, Nathan and I definitely did not agree on the bill regarding Turning Point USA, which many of you know about. But from the beginning, he and I were committed to supporting each other and respecting each other's viewpoints. From day one, Nate and I sat there and I was like, Nate, I don't agree with this. And he was like, I do, but that's okay, because we can work through whatever you need. He even read over my debate for me and provided me with feedback about how we could improve the argument. I can assure you that as speaker, he will support each and every one of you without bias. Nathan is incredibly hardworking and passionate. He spent countless hours in CSI learning everything about SGA. He honestly lives and breathes for SGA and improving the lives of students on campus. There are so many things that he's brought up to me that I honestly would have never thought of to do in student government. He is honestly one of the most caring, genuine, passionate, and truly positive people that I have ever met, and he has definitely impacted my K-State experience for the better. I promise you that Nathan will not only have your best interests in mind, but also Senate's as a whole. I'm so excited to see the things he will accomplish in SGA this year, and I encourage all of you to vote for him for Speaker Pro Tem.
Are there any questions for a speaker? Seeing none, I'll now be seeking debate in the positive for Senator Orzechowski. Senator Clements.
So I don't have anything prepared, but just in the short amount of time that I've worked with Matt since being elected as engineering senator, he's really taken that role on to be a leader for the people who are new to the engineering caucus. He planned a caucus retreat and got us all together to take pictures, to start social media, to really start reaching out to our college, because one of the things that I had an issue with was the lack of communication with the average student. And Matt has already started progress on that, and I know he would apply his dedication to the role of Speaker Pro Tem. After our caucus retreat, we sat down to dinner and ended up talking about K-State and SGA and things that needed to be changed for like 2 hours. So like I said, I don't really have anything prepared. I just know that he has a passion for the job and for K-State, and I know that he would put the effort in that's required. I stand for questions.
Are there any questions for our speaker? Seeing none, I'll now be seeking debate in the positive for Senator Bothwell. For Nathan Bothwell, Senator Hines.
Good evening, y'all. For those of you that I haven't had the pleasure to meet, my name is Alan Hines, and I'm currently a College of Ag senator. Tonight, I am privileged to speak in favor of Nathan Bothwell as he seeks Speaker Pro Tempore. While many come up and talk about a candidate's particular platforms, tonight I'm going to focus on Nate, his character, and his values. Though I must say that I find his platforms to be solid ideas that build off of and speak of his character and values, I want to specifically talk about what those values and his character are. So a little story time. When I moved from Iowa to Tonganoxie to begin my high school career, Nate was one of the very first people that I met that I would come to look up to. Nate has always been active in his community and his school. Most of my time with Nate before K-State was in debate and forensics, where he spent, I don't even want to know how many hours, prepping and working and getting better. In both debate and forensics, Nate was a clear leader. However, he wasn't the typical high school group leader that we often think about, that's always telling people what to do or boasting about themselves or not listening to others. No, Nate was and is a leader that everyone wants a leader to be. Before we explain this, let me tell you about my experience with Nate here at K-State. When Nate found out that I was indeed attending K-State, which I can't imagine going anywhere else, he approached me and in his always enthusiastic voice was like, "Alan, let me tell you about SGA. You would really love it." And he proceeded to talk to me about everything we do here in SGA in all three branches and invited me to the intern program. However, Nate didn't just do this to me. He did this to countless others, to both those he knew and those he didn't know, because he had a passion for this organization. Along with now Chief of Staff Polson, Nate went all out with the intern program this year. From my point of view, Nate wasn't just trying to make new SGA leaders and new senators, but rather he was trying to make more informed students. Some of these newly informed students have gone on to be SGA leaders and are often in this room. Some have not, and that's all right. And it's all because of his outreach efforts. Nate is a leader that you can call at whatever time you want. Whether it's because you're not sure about something in SGA, or you don't know what to do because you changed your thermostat to make your room cooler because it was 90 degrees and you couldn't sleep, and housing and dining services was not very happy with you. Nate is there for everyone at all times. Nate is a leader that values everyone, every single person's values, opinions, and ideas. Nate is a leader that wants you to share your side because he knows that even if it differs from his own, knowledge of your side and your side being expressed benefits every single person. I think most of us can remember at least one of Nate's passionate debates in Senate. Each and every vote and debate that Nate has cast and voiced was in the best interest of the university as a whole, even if he personally was conflicted. Whether we all agreed with those votes and debates at the time, I believe if you look back, Nate was just trying to ensure that all voices on campus were heard and that our university is inclusive and welcoming to all people, even if we might disagree with them. These debates and votes that Nate has made show that Nate can be impartial in keeping with his duties as a then senator and intern program coordinator, which directly translates to his candidacy for Speaker Pro Temp and the duties that it entails, especially for filling in for the speaker if necessary. In conclusion, I could talk all day about Nate and how his character and values qualify him for this position, but I will end with this. I can honestly say without a doubt that Nate is one of the, if not the most impartial, caring, and passionate persons I've ever met and likely will ever meet.
Is there a motion to extend the speaker's time? Are you done?
I had one sentence left, so.
Senator Glasscock. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to extend the speaker's time by 30 seconds. Are there any objections? You've got 30 seconds.
Thank you. I am confident that Nate will excel in this position, and it is for these reasons that I'll be supporting Nathan Bothwell with my vote for Speaker Pro Temp. I now stand for 20 seconds of questions.
Are there any questions for the speaker? Seeing none, I'll now be seeking debate in the positive for Senator Orzechowski. Debate in the positive for Nathan Bothwell. Senator Beasley.
Hi, I'm Nick Beasley. I'm a senator for the College of Education. I haven't gotten the chance to meet all of you yet, but here I am. So what I believe Nathan best demonstrates in as a member of this body and as the intern coordinator is a personal goal of mine of being transparent, which I think this body could use more of. And I think that he would be an excellent, he would do an excellent job of taking his transparency and giving it to us as a body as a whole. As he said, he has an open door policy, and when he has, whenever there's been a controversy, he's always been willing to share his opinions and discuss. And I think that's something that we can all benefit from. And yeah, I think that he's great. He's also been always willing to talk to me about the things that have been going on in Senate when really no one else has opened up about what's happening. Interns can probably speak to this as well, where we're new and there's a whole bunch of drama that we don't understand because there's so many people and so many points of views and things flying around, and no one sits down to just like, hey, this is what's happening. Welcome to SGA. It's kind of like this all the time. But you need like the help to get into it. And he was willing to sit down with me and with others, I'm sure, to get us in, to help with that transition. Yeah.
Are there any questions for our speaker? Seeing none, I'll be seeking debate in the positive for Senator Orzechowski. Senator Spellman.
Hello again. I am debating in the positive for Senator Matt Orzechowski to be the Speaker Pro Tem of this body. Of course, I'm voting for him for a number of reasons. The first and most important one to me, at least, is the fact that Matt is genuinely the best friend I have ever had. Matt and I have known each other since freshman year. We lived in the dorms, West 5 for a semester before getting kicked out and moved out to Jardine. But that year that we lived together, it showed me just how strong of a leader he was and how compassionate and passionate he is about certain issues at K-State. Of course, He can come up here and talk to you about so many topics at K-State and so many issues that he wants to tackle while he's still here. And I, of course, have gotten to listen to all of the rants, all of the rambles, and had plenty of conversations about those specific projects. That, of course, all of those passions is extremely applicable to his leadership role and him becoming the next speaker pro tempore. That, of course, looking at the college caucus system specifically, he has specific goals in mind, and he really wants to reform the potential that the college caucus system actually has. And I think he would be the best fit for the job because of all of those conversations I've had with him, seeing how passionate, even for the College of Engineering, him being a senator last year and him trying to recruit so many new faces for the College of Engineering and so many new faces for SGA entirely, it shows just how welcoming he is, just how passionate he is when it comes to bringing new faces and new ideas to the Senate body and to SGA entirely. And I think he'd be the best job for Speaker pro tempore moving forward. Lastly, I'll go ahead and conclude with just the overall idea of SGA for this term and, of course, after graduation, after we graduate next year. He has big ideas and big goals, and he wants to be open to as many people as possible. And as I mentioned previously, if you haven't had a conversation with him before, I highly encourage it. It's a lot of fun to talk to. He has a lot of confidence, and he has very strong points in his beliefs and his motives and his values. And for that reason, I will be voting yes for him for Speaker pro tempore.
Are there any questions for the speaker? Senator Beasley.
Yeah. Why were you kicked out of hall?
Relevance.
Well, it was presented in your speech.
I did mention it. West Hall was being renovated the second semester of our freshman year.
Any further questions? Seeing none, I'll now be seeking debate in the positive for Nathan Bothwell. Senator Oxner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My name is Noah Oxner. I'm a senator in the College of Agriculture. First of all, I'm going to cast my vote for Nathan Bothwell tonight because he's an incredible individual. He's the reason that so many people in this room are here today. He's been incredible for the intern program and reforming that. And I can say that his work has shaped our intern program possibly into one of the best in the Big 12 Conference. He's helped create an environment of new senators that are going to definitely lead the way here at K-State. And from what I've gotten to see working with other Big 12 schools this year, our program is one of the top in the conference and possibly top in the nation. And that's much to his work and Chief of Staff Polson's work this year. Senator Nathan Bothwell has done an incredible job the entire year, has been welcoming. And whenever I think of someone in SGA who represents our organization the best, Nathan is always the first person that comes to mind. He works in NSS, gets to welcome new students and possibly bring them to our organization. So I will be casting my vote for Nathan Bothwell tonight, and I encourage you to do the same. I'll stand for questions.
Are there any questions for a speaker? Seeing none, I'll now be seeking debate in the positive for Senator Orzechowski. Debate in the positive for Nathan Bothwell. Any debate at all? Yep. I mean, there's really no need. We were getting there. Okay, we'll go ahead and move into a vote. A blind vote. If you guys stay put, we'll get ballots out.
Second open period, and then roll call. should have a new person. So, but we're probably both gonna have to have a meeting with whoever takes help them. Well, so the due dates for it's tomorrow, yeah, midnight, and that's for everything.
They'll pick them on Sunday, and then
Is there any transitional documents for parliamentarians? Because if there is, I never know. What? Thank you. The Ryan causing a ruckus is already you messed it up. It is weird. What the hell? It seems so different. Well, and I've never been. You have probably. I've never been in a Senate meeting with Ryan as a
yeah, I guess that's fair. I never thought about that.
And it's just gonna be odd. She has a lot of power to change what she can make it. I wouldn't mind if she made it like business. Business. And it's once a week. Well, nobody's gonna know. You get a grade for that. So what are you gonna do? What else are you doing? You've been what? Oh, really? Which one are you in? Okay. That's a huge That's a big class. Does your president get paid? Okay, yeah. Is that the same as like a British chair? Did you recruit a good class?
Yeah, I mean, most of them are pretty good.
Was that this last year or?
That was December 2016. Yeah.
So they're all juniors now?
Yeah, most of them are juniors, and they're like I don't know the right now. I really enjoyed doing that. I used to do basically just to have time to get back to that role. Working with younger people too, because for a long time, for some of my awards, I mean, I guess I was young too, but
Yep. Are you in law school? Cool. Where do you want to go? Okay, sweet. Yeah, that's gonna be a fat amount of money. But so cool. George Washington's so cool. What's your goal, or what do you want to do?
Hey, go ahead and start finding your seats. Our candidates are coming back in. Okay. Just to remind everybody about the slides. Okay. All right. With 36 votes and henceforth a majority, our new Speaker Pro Tempore is Nathan Bothwell. All right, if you'll raise your right hand and say I do at the end. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of Speaker Pro Tempore and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association. If you'll go ahead and introduce yourself, name, hometown major, favorite smell.
So my name's Nathan Bothwell, like I said earlier. I'm from Tonganoxie, Kansas. I'm a sophomore majoring in political science and communication studies, pre-law, and my favorite smell is a freshly opened bottle of vanilla. So.
All right, we'll now be moving into second open period. Are there any second open period speakers?
Yeah, with all the engineering senators, could we group up at the end? So we're missing a few in our group meeting. We just want to, if we're not doing caucus time, but if we are, we can do that instead. So engineering senators, up here,
Yeah. So engineering senators, go find Matt out there afterwards. Caucus time next week, probably. Any further second open period speakers? Senator Kidd?
Okay, so before I start speaking,
I turned it off, sorry.
if you could airdrop that to me or anyone else that wants that for whatever purpose, you can do that. So, no, but what I wanted to talk about tonight, again, my name is Marcus Kidd. I'm a grad student senator. From last week, I shared that my favorite scent is my John Varvatos cologne. I learned the other day that it could actually be pronounced John Varvatos, so take that with you for what you will. But what I wanted to share with you all tonight is about an event that's coming up, sponsored by the Alumni Association. It's called Grad Bash. We do this every year for our graduating students. Since you all represent your students, thought that this could be a good way to get the message out there about the event. It's next month in May, on May 9th. It runs from 4 to 6. We'll be giving out free food to any graduating student. So whether you are a graduate student, undergraduate student, international student, whoever, if you're graduating in May or August, you're eligible to come. I know that we'll probably be done meeting as a Senate body by that time, but I always extend a personal invitation to all of you to stop by towards the end of the event to get any leftover food that we may have. So a good burger and fries is always good for everyone, right? So that's pretty much it. I will stand for questions.
Any questions for our speaker? Senator Oxner.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. So Delta Sigma Phi, the Delta Sigma Phi fraternity will be hosting their annual Delta Sig Dogs event. It's located at 1100 Fremont. It's on the corner, right by City Park. Tickets are $5 to get in, I believe, and you can Venmo your money to myself or to Noah Oshner if you'd like a ticket. Or to also Jeremy Newport if you want one as well. So,
any further questions for our speaker? Chief of Staff Polson.
Yes, it goes from 12 to 4 Central Time in America. Yeah.
Any further questions for our speaker? Seeing none, are there any further second open period speakers? Senator King. Any questions for our speaker? Okay, seeing none, any further second open period speakers? President Penny.
Well, instead of petting dogs on Sunday, if you guys want to get a little bit more stressed, there's a lot of interviews happening on Sunday. So I'm going to touch on all those opportunities and what you guys can expect there. So all the applications should close tomorrow night at 11:59, and that includes everything from cabinet, Senate exec, judicial, and like all SGA positions such as intern coordinator, communications director, and treasurer as well. And something that I really wanted to point out there so everyone had the same information is you can apply for all these different positions at the same time, and we will work with you on interview times and scheduling that as well. And so how that will work, let's say you apply for communications and then also a chair on Senate exec, you will preference which one, you know, is your highest want there. So let's say you get both communications and privilege fee chair or something. We will have that list of what you want, so it won't necessarily be like a fight of which one we put you in. It's like which one you would like to be in. So we're really wanting to make sure that that puts you guys first there. And then another thing to be on the lookout when we go through and Hannah does appointments for all the Senate committees as well, there'll be a lot of opportunities to express interest in the appointments that we have to make in the executive branch too. And that ranges with a lot of things from parking, recycling, advising, the budget, student life. I know a lot of that sounds pretty boring, but a lot of it can be really fun too. And for any of these positions, whether it's Senate exec, cabinet, or even being appointed on something, if you're sitting there thinking, you know, like, I'm just going to be a sophomore, like I know absolutely nothing about any of this, I'm not sure, like please do not let that be a reason to stop you to apply for any of these things. It's really great opportunities, especially appointments in some of these roles to really get your feet wet and then jump right in as well. And so just a reminder, all those links to the applications should be on the agenda from tonight, so you can pull that up in your inbox, and they close tomorrow night at 11:59. Is there any questions?
Are there any questions for our speaker? Seeing none, are there any further open period speakers? Senator Beasley.
Yes, I'd like to real quick remind everyone that this Saturday is the spring exhibition for the football team. And come out, have a good time, family performing. And it's a really good opportunity to see Coach K and his Cats in action for the first time and to get us hyped for next season. Go Cats! Yeah.
Any questions for our speaker? Any further open period speakers? Seeing none, we'll move into second roll call.
Al Abdullah. Al Madani. Oh, okay, thank you. I'll correct that. Beasley. Belina. Betancourt. Booz. Burke. Carlson. Clements. Colburn. Cruz. Dowd. Garcia. Gillian King. Gillespie. Glasscock. Gertson. Grover. Hamlin. Heatherman. Hines. Howie. Huffman. Jabin. Kavanaugh. Kelly. Kerperin. Kidd. King. Koger. Coleman. Leverett. Lux. Matos. Meinhardt. Newport. Oxner. Orzakowski. Pelton, Prus, Rice, Rivera, Reichert, Sleichter, Smith, Ben Snyder, Blaine Snyder, Spellman, Spencer, Stone Street, Wallace, Ward, Watkins, and Whitmer. All right, we have 44 present, 6 excused, and 4 absent.
Okay, I will now be seeking a motion to adjourn. Senator Oxner. It's been moved in second. We adjourn until next week. Same time, same place. This meeting is adjourned.
I can pull it up on here. Oh, sorry, I was just wondering, well, maybe it's just not. No, that's definitely a mistake. If it is that way, then that's a problem. Seriously. This one? Yes. Well, we asked multiple times. The grad students were obviously chatting because they all ended up bringing them up to us. So here, I'll take it. But